Okay.
Hmm. So today you will be learning about, oh, just a second. Yeah, she's not here. So today we learn about classes and objects. Actually, it's not a small topic, even though it's just classes and objects. Like you have to like work with this a bit. Like there are many related stuff to this one. So we in two classes, like we'll go through this one and then we'll move on to the next topic. And one more thing, like this classes and objects or whatever I'm gonna be teaching you guys from now on till January. Make sure you guys learn it very well and you remember it. It is because if you both will be like promoted to level 3, right? So that time you won't be like I won't be, I mean, I'll be taking classes for you guys, but not from this team, but from level 3. Yeah. So not just me, other instructors and also Harsha sir will also be taking classes for you guys. So now as you're in the team, it's like there's a boundary. So I know you guys and I know your level of knowledge and how you guys understand. But when you go there, like other like members from other teams also will be there. And you have to like know these topics very well because they won't be explaining you these again. So here it's individual topics. It's individual topics now, but when you go there, these are like smaller parts when you're making a project there. So that's why if you don't know those smaller parts, then you won't be able to continue. So now here if you don't understand just like few bits, it's okay. You can still continue, right? But there if you don't understand a topic in a class, then even if you attend the class, you cannot understand anything after that. So that's why make sure you will practice these topics which I'll be teaching very well. So let's start. So first, classes and objects. So these two things, actually they are part of OOP. OOP means object oriented programming. So this OOP is like very helpful when you're like writing us, like when you are making a software, or when you are using some, like when you want to relate your coding to the real world stuff. For example, when you were making the project before, do you remember that I told you the different steps when you write, like when you make the project
Yeah.
itself, like not just writing the code,
Yeah.
but planning, yeah, the whole stuff, like planning and what, like writing the flow chart and everything, right? So, when you are doing it, do you remember I told you about relating your code to the real world stuff?
Yeah.
Your project was just about the game. So everything that you needed to do in your project was just numbers. Like you were just using numbers everywhere, right? But
Yeah.
uh Godwin, like some other he was planning to make another project, and there he actually wanted to make a shop, like create a shop, and there he want to sell things. But that wasn't so easy to him because shop and the things, it's all in the real world, right? So it's a
Yeah.
bit difficult for you if you want to relate it to the if you want to write quotes relating it to the real world objects. So that's where you use classes and objects, I mean object oriented programming. So in object oriented programming, you write. So, what is object oriented programming? You use classes and objects. So, classes, so that's it. So, you know the definition of OOP now. Okay. So, classes and objects, you use both of this to like write OOP, object oriented programming. To do that, you use classes and objects. So, now let's move on. to like what are these. So, hmm. So object-oriented programming, I've already explained it to you in detail. So it's one of the most effective ways to write software. Then OOP involves writing classes and that represent real world stuff and situation and creating objects based on those classes. So, what are classes and what are objects now? So, classes, here I told that they represent the real world things and situations, and objects, they represent things that are made using the classes. For example, if a class, so if a car is a class now, so our class is a car, okay? So if car is the class, then object, what is object? So objects are something which is done using the class. So using the car, like there will be some actions or something related to the class or something from the class will be the objects. So the actions that you can do using the car, like moving or turning or the information about the car, you like prepare some document which contains all the necessary stuff and instructions about your car, then that will be the object. So here, let me go to the analogy. So here, class is like a blueprint, and object is like the actual stuff made from the blueprint. So for example, you want to build a house now. So before building a house, you will make a blueprint. Okay, that blueprint. So what's a blueprint? The blueprint is like not like different for different objects. It's the same for all the objects. So if you write, like create a blueprint now, whatever any house you build, you'll be using the same blueprint, right? So you create a blueprint first, and based on that, you create many houses. You build many houses. So if blueprint is like a blueprint for your house, like the structure and your planning for the house, then object will be the house built from that planning. Did you get it? So now I've made a plan and about all the structures and everything of a house. So that's a class. Now, using that class, I will build house A. That is one object. Then, using the same class, I'll build another house. You mean using the same plan, I build another house. So that's house B. So these house A, house B are the objects. And this planning, that is, the blueprint, that is the class. Did you get it? Oh,
Yeah.
like, yeah, did you get, yeah, okay. So, what's the use of the OOP? I already told you it's very useful when helpful when you're working with the real world stuff in the codes, and also you can reuse the codes. In functions also, just like how you write a function and wherever you need it, you call it. In the same way, you can reuse these codes. Like you create a class, and you no need to like uh, write the codes again and again. You have already written it, like defined it in the class. Then you just use their names in your objects. So, for example, if you have a house blueprint, like the planning, so let me just keep the name as planning for the blueprint of the house, okay? So, the class is now planning. So now I've written the information that I've written inside is the windows and doors and rooms. Okay, this much. So now the object will be house A and another object will be house B. So both these houses need the doors, the rooms, and the windows, right? So it will be the only differences. these are the doors, windows, and rooms of house A, and doors, windows, and rooms of house B. Okay, that's the only difference. But these three things which I told you now, it will be it's common for both the houses. Okay, so you can reuse the code, and then it's not like a scattered pieces of code. It will be very structured and like a bundle. You won't get confused. Okay, until you create an object, your class will be very structured. And one more thing is here, it allows modeling of real world situations. Okay, I mean, you need to remember these stuff, and helps programmers understand bigger concepts behind the code. So, when you're a programmer and you create a class, and that class is like it does some function, okay? It does some function, and you can actually give it to others. Like other programmers also can use it, so in that case, it will be very helpful. So for example, you take lot of time and create a class which contains the codes for some action. The action can be like the car, which feels like it's moving on a road, and you can do all the actions with it. Like you can turn, you can you turn everything, turn left, turn right. So you spent lot of time and created a class which does all of these actions of the car. Okay, now you can share it with the other programmers. So they will use your class when they are making a bigger project. So in their bigger project, your class will just be a part of it. Did you get me? So you create that class and you share it. But when they are making a car game, in a car game, it's not just about turning and moving, right? There are many other stuff, but still, these are also part of that game. So in that case, they will use your codes there, like your class. They won't write it again. They will just use your code. But they know what to do and how to write it, but they still won't. They will just use your code. So that is what we all do when you make a bigger projects. Like Lekana, you told me about your project idea. Do you remember the note-taking app? So for that,
Yeah.
so it's not like you write your own codes there. Like already others, I mean, the others in the sense, not a single person, many different people have written the codes to perform particular actions. So you just collect them and put it in a single place, and you make an application. I mean, that wasn't suitable for you that time because you were still learning, right? So you actually needed to do like work, like you needed to write. So that's why it was cancelled, right? But
Mm.
that's how we actually make. Even though you do something very advanced, that's what you do. Like you get the modules from other programmers and you add it to your application. But the thing is, you need to know what that piece of code does. That's important. Without knowing, you shouldn't simply copy. Yeah, so remember that. So that's about OOP and classes and objects. And did you guys join in your laptop?
Yes, sister.
Yeah, so if that's the case, you guys can write the code simultaneously while I explain. Okay? Because I've written it and I've added the screenshots here like to avoid confusions again and again. So you can write it. Ashish, can you use it now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you can join in your laptop then. Yeah, you can open your VS Code. So while I teach, you can do write the code simultaneously.
Yes.
Okay, so here you can see the class and the object. See, it's the blueprint and it's the actual house. So class is common template. It's like a template. and you use the template to create any project like that. So it defines the rules, the behaviors, and the data structure common to all the objects of that type. So if your class is a planning structure of your house, then all objects of that type means all the houses you can use this class like that. And the object is an object is a specific instant. And one more thing you guys need to remember is whenever like you're working, I'll tell you the standard like terms. So class, it's just class, but when I say objects, I won't tell objects. It's instances, okay? So instances don't get confused. It just means it's object, okay? And yeah, I'll tell you further. There are two more. And an object is a specific instance built from the blueprint. It has unique traits like color, addresses. So here, even the the class, it has like common things which will be common to all the objects. But when it comes to actual objects itself, the instances, there you can like give unique traits to it, like address, color, like that. But it follows the structure of the class. So let's write our very first class, okay? Okay. Can you guys turn on your videos and I'll explain this too. Do you guys have pets? Or you both don't have? It's okay. So let's write our very first class. So no need to just simply copy while you see. I'll tell you, you write one by one. Okay? So here, when you write a class, you should always write, you started with the capital letter. Like you first write class like this, and then you write dog. So, I mean, it's just an example. So you can use the same example for now. So class, then dog. So here the class name is dog. Okay. So this is how you start function. Like start writing the class. So you can write it class, then space dog. And one more thing, always use capital letter. Not for the class, okay, for the dog. Like here in is it's dog. Because later on, when you start writing for the stuff, there are many variable names and all, and even function name. So not to get confused, you use capital stuff. And you don't have any parentheses here when you're defining the class, because you're writing this from the like beginning, right? That's why. And this thing, like three quotations, a simple attempt to model a dog. So this is called doc string. Okay? Doc string. So it's just like a comment, but there is difference. So comments, you guys know about it, but comments you just add it to know, like to just know what the code does. Right? Like, and one more thing is the interpreter or the compiler doesn't read it, like it doesn't consider the comments as codes, it ignores it, right? But this thing, just like a comment, this docstring also does the same thing, like it helps us understand what this code is gonna do. That's the same thing, but the difference is it won't be ignored by the interpreter. Like this will be used for the documentation purpose. Like when you go, like hover your cursor upon the comments, you actually get nothing. It's because it's ignored by the interpreter, right? But when you does the same thing, like when you hover your cursor upon the doc strings, you can actually see the text, like the same text. Because when I told you, when you write classes, other programmers also use it, right? So when they have to use it, they consider this doc strings has a very not very important parts. Like they actually go through these doc strings to know what the code does exactly. I know it feels like, oh, I mean, the comments and doxings are both similar. What's the difference? but still there is a difference. You know, this doc strings, it's used when you're writing a class or something complex which you guys still didn't learn, and files and all. But comments, you can write it anywhere, just for the explanation. It does nothing else. That's it. But here, docstring, it will be considered important. And when you have to like document something, like you are writing a very big program, then you have to like know what each stuff does, then you use this. Okay, three quotation. You can write it now. So now what are we going to do? I mean, what this class is used for? Like a simple attempt to model a doc. So you can write this as well, the second line. And did you guys write it? Let's move on to the function part. Okay. So, these two functions, they are the functions which you guys already know, but this is a special function. Okay. So you're defining a function called initialize, INIT, it's initialize. But whenever you're writing a class, you actually write this function. It's not a normal function, it's a special function. Okay. So, this thing inside the bracket, like self, name, age, that's parameters. I'll explain it to you what that's for, what that is for. And this, just a minute. Sorry. So this initialize thing, you have to use, like, remember this thing, like you have to use underscores here, like two leading underscores, here before two leading underscores and two trailing underscores. So this is what makes it the special function. It's like it's an inbuilt stuff in the Python. You cannot change it or modify it. It's an inbuilt stuff, so that's why you have to write it like that. By any chance, if you miss like any single underscore, it doesn't work. And one more thing is, it's very hard to notice it as well. So you miss it, and there's an error. There will definitely be an error. But the thing is, it's very hard to identify where the error is. So make sure you don't do it. And now, if you see, name, age, it's like common parameters. You know what parameters are, right? Like the arguments which we use in the function. But self, we actually have many different keywords like self. That those keywords, which include self as well, will be used commonly whenever you start with this function. Like before any other parameters, like you use this thing first, and they have their own purposes. For now, we'll be just learning about self. Before any arguments, you actually write self. So, why do you use it? Even though it's like not, directly like seen considering anywhere, because this self, it's not, and like directly, it's not just an argument which you'll be using here. It actually refers to the object itself. Object itself means, now self, name, age. So now if I ask you what is name, you will tell me it's an argument. Means when you call the function later on, like you'll give it some value, right? But self, so that value will not be any common stuff which are just like name and age. Unlike name and age, that value will be the object itself. Did you get me? So here, self dot name. So if I have to like explain it to you easily, you can think of this as like self will be the object. I mean there is no object here still. I'll show. So that will be the object, okay? The value of self will be object, and dot name. So when you write self, it actually means it's the object, and which is associated with this variable. I mean with this argument, like that. So now initialize name and age attributes. So I'll tell you the meaning of initialize. So, and also simulate, okay? Initialize means it's like starting point of an an object, in the sense, I mean, real world stuff, okay? Starting point of anything, okay? It's not anything. starting point of any of something, okay, something in the real world. So that's called initialize. So here if I say it's the starting point of this class called dog, okay, then simulate means imitating the like behavior of the real world thing. So if now this class dog will be imitating the characters and the actions of a real world dog. Did you get me? Yeah. So now here what I'm doing is, self.name, self.age. These two is the other variables. Okay. So I already told you class will be called as class itself and object will be called as instances, and then the variables in this, in any classes, it is called as attributes. Okay, so make sure you don't forget it. It's called as attributes. Why not variables? It's because once you use the variables in this class, so you can use those variables anywhere in this class or in the objects that you create using this class. I'll show you the objects. Here there's no object yet, I didn't create it. It's in the next slide. But remember that the variables which you can even use in the whole, like in the class, and also the objects that's derived from the class, that's called attributes. So what is attributes? It's variables. Okay, so now self.name, self.age, it's the attribute. And name and age here, what is that? These two are the arguments. Okay, here I've given the arguments here. So what I'm doing is I'm passing the value of name to the attribute self.name and the value of age to self.age. Okay, so we have done this much for now. So remember one more thing. Just like before we were doing, like we define a function, and when we call the function, we used to like give the values of the arguments. Do you guys remember? Like you have learned about functions, right? Like you define a function, and then when you call the function, you give the value of the arguments. But the thing here is, when you want to like clearly understand what classes and objects are, you can just think of it like this. In the class, you define the function. So objects means you like call the function with the values of the arguments there. So now here you have just defined the function in the class. In the objects, I mean in the instances, you will call these function with the values of name and age. So do you guys now understand how classes and instances are like blueprint and the actual object created from the blueprint? Did you now get it? Or did you
Yeah.
get it? Yeah.
Yes.
So now we are creating two more functions. I mean, you guys will be knowing about this because it's just normal function, right? I mean, it's just normal function. There's nothing extra here. So you're defining the function called sit. And the argument for this thing will be self. Here also the same thing. It is self. I told you it's like not any particular normal argument, but the object itself. You will understand it when you see the further codes, okay? So now, it's you can think of this thing as a comment. I mean, for your understanding, has its beginning. So simulate a dog sitting in response to a command. So simulate, you have to imagine a dog, like something imitating the dog's action, okay? A dog sitting in response to the command. So in response to this command, the dog should do some action. What's the action? It should just sit. Oh, just a minute. Oh, so sorry. There was some noise. I'll continue. So, in these two functions, like simulate a dog sitting in response to a command means you have to imagine something which, like, simulate means imitating, like a dog sitting in response to a command. I mean, if you want to like imitate a dog sitting in response to a command, I mean, it should be a dog which is like just sitting, right? So it creates like, I mean, virtually it creates a dog which will sit when this command is given. The same thing happens here. So roll over, like in response to the command, the dog rolls over. Okay. So these two are normal functions. And one more thing is here you're using this attribute. Okay. So self.name is in blue color and it looks something special, right? But it's just attribute, just variable, which has the value of name here and also age, the value of the arguments itself, okay? Yeah. So now sit and roll over are the two normal functions and initialize it's the like main function. So do you have any doubts here? Did you write the quotes?
Yes, sister.
Yeah. Ashish done?
No.
I mean, when I explain each, like when I explain some line, like you write just that line. Don't wait for like for me to complete the whole explanation. So that time, you guys would like take more time. If you like write bit by bit, you can manage it. Or else I have to like wait like this.
Yeah, you can go on.
Mm. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Now we have like written a class. Okay. So next thing is about, yeah. So this is a like information about initialize stuff. It will run automatically whenever a new instance is created. So whenever you create an object from this class, you no need to call this function. I told you it's a special function, right? You need to call this sit and rollover function, but you don't need to call this initialize. It's a special function, okay? It will be called automatically. But if you do any like make any errors while writing like any spelling mistake or something like that, then there will be it won't run automatically. Okay? Then initialization. So, used to assign the initial values to the object's attributes like name and age. So, if you have to assign some values initially when you're creating the object, then you use this, okay? And the self parameter, so it's like a reference to the instance itself. So it and also it must be the first parameter in the definition, you know that, and the reference to the instance itself means like the value of that will be the instance. So when you say like self dot name, so just think now, just dog, any, it can be any dog, but just dog is the class. Now think, um I'll be creating a object called Lucy. Okay, Lucy is a dog actually, a pet dog. It's not a common, like not any dog. It's like my pet dog. Okay, so I mean, I why I told you it's like my pet dog because it's an object. It's not a common thing like class, like not just dog, but a pet dog like Lucy. Okay, so that's why I told you like that. So now, and for that, um, if I have to like give the name or ask it to do some function, then how Python understands is it's like self dot name, right? So it will be like the object name of my the object name which I give will be my dog. So it will be like my dog dot name. So self dot age will be like my dog dot age. So my dog is the object that I created. So that object has like information about my dog. Did you guys understand? Or do you need explanation again? Are you guys listening? Are you sleepy?
No.
No,
Did you
sister.
understand?
Sister, if you don't mind, can you tell about it again?
About what?
About objects like my dog from there.
Okay, okay. I mean, you don't think about the quotes and all, just imagine, okay? So if the class is my like dog, this one itself. This is a common thing, like a blueprint. It's common for all the dogs. It's common for my dog and also your dog and Ash's dog, everything. Okay? For all our dogs. It's a common stuff. So when I say the name of Lekana's dog is, and the name of Ashish's dog is, and the name of my dog is something. Okay, like Lekana's dog's name is Lucy, and Ashish's dog name is, what is it? Can be. Do you know any dog names?
Blackie.
Okay, Blackie. So Lucy and Blackie. Okay, now if Python, so I what I was trying to tell you was how Python understands it and how you can think of it is when I say Lekana's dog's name is Lucy. So self dot name means now I have created an object called Lekana's dog, okay? And that object has the value or like the values like the name of Lekana's dog, the age of Lekana's dog, everything. So now when you have to access that stuff like name of Lekana's dog, then what you do is like you write the object name and the name, like just self dot name. So how it'll be means the object name will be Lekana's dog. So Lekana's dog dot name. Okay, so name is the name, like it's the argument, it's common stuff. I mean, it will be the name of your dog, okay? But self means it's the object itself. Even though you work with it like an argument here in the first function, it's an argument itself. Argument, sorry, it's a class itself. Okay, even though it works like an argument, it's a class itself. Means self dot name means it is not self is an argument and name is also an argument. No, it doesn't work like that. Self will be the object. You create an object and name will be the argument. Did you get me?
Yeah.
Lekana, did you get me?
Yes, sister.
Hmm. I know if completely we cannot understand just by imagining. We need to like see the codes. Yeah. Then attributes I told you they are the variables. Okay. So now we'll make the objects. Like we'll create the objects using this class. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So now we'll create objects. So you already have written this much, right? Like this much. Only extra thing is this one. This is object, okay? So now to create an object, we call the class like a function, and Python creates the instance means objects, calls the initialize, this function, and it will return the object. So what happens? I'll tell you like like in the flow. So first here the object which I am creating here is this part dog in parenthesis then Willy dot then comma 6, right? That is the object which I created and I am passing that value to my dog. My dog means it's a variable. Like my dog is not anything. It's just a variable, okay? And that's a variable. So I am passing the object value to this variable, just to make it, like just to shorten it. Did you guys understand? Nothing complex here. So here,
Yeah.
when you are creating the objects, so I'll tell you easily, it's like when you create the class, you are like you're telling Python that this class, this dog class, these are the set of instructions that Python needs to use to create specific dogs. Okay, this is so what is class? Dog. It's just common. But what is my dog? It's Willy. Then what is Lekana's dog? It's Lucy. Then what's Ash's dog? It's Blackie. Like that. So they are the objects, specific dogs. And this thing, it's set of common instructions for which is common to all the dogs. Okay, did you guys understand now?
Yeah.
Yes, sister.
Yeah. So now I'm creating the object here like dog. It should be capital because the name of your class, it's the same. So you write the name of your class and inside the bracket, you give the values of the arguments, which means you're calling the function itself. Okay, don't think like why should I write bracket, why should I write the parenthesis, why I'm giving the value of name and age here. So I told you this, do you remember class and objects? It's like you already know about defining the function and calling the function, right? The same thing. In the class, you define the function. In the object, you call the function. That's it. Did you guys understand?
Yeah.
Yes,
Hmm.
sister.
So here, my dog, it's a variable and is equal to dog, and Willy, it's the name of the dog. Usually self, this self won't be considered. I told you why. Because, now think my dog is the object, okay? So now self will be my dog. So the value of self will be object itself, not any other values, okay? So now, always the first thing, self, it will be ignored, okay? And then name is Willy and age is 6. So now, there are only two things that's happening in this class. One thing is like print my dogs, the F string, right? You know how to use it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my dog's name is my dog dot name. I told you, see here, self dot name. You can write self dot name here. But what is self? What I told you before? Self is the object itself. So you write the object, self, like the object, which is my dog, dot name. This thing. So this will be here. I'll just write it for you. Hmm. Yes, color. White. So, here, this thing is actually self. Okay, self, here it is there. So now this self dot name will actually be this thing. I told you, self actually refers to the object itself. So now you write this thing, but replace self with the object name. Because I mean that is why you're using self, okay? But now if you want to know what is the value of my dog dot name, so what is my dog dot name here? What is this? I mean, what is this? I mean, if you don't know what is this, do you know that this thing is equal to self dot name? I mean, you guys know that, right? I mean, I just told you.
Yeah.
Hmm. So now my dog dot name. I asked you what is that? You guys didn't know. I mean, you were confused. I know that. Now if I ask you what is self dot name? What is this at least? Do you know what
Yeah.
this is? What is self dot name? What is that?
It's a class.
I mean, there's only
It's
one
an
class.
attribute. It's an
Yeah,
attribute.
yeah. It's an attribute. Sorry. It's an attribute. It's a variable. See, it's a variable. This is an argument, like this is an argument, and this is an attribute. Attribute means variable. I'm passing the value of this argument, this is an argument. So same thing. So this argument value, I'll be passing it to a variable. And I can use that variable anywhere in my class and object. That's why it's called as attribute. So this attribute, I am using it here. But I'm replacing self because my dog is the object here. Okay, so my dog dot name is nothing but self dot name. So what is self dot name? Self dot name is just an attribute. But what is the value of the attribute? What is the value of this self dot name?
Really?
I don't know. I mean, don't tell me the actual value. Like, what is this? What
Name.
is this?
Name.
Yeah, name. So attribute self dot name contains argument name. Argument name is here. Okay. And when will you give the value of the argument? When will you give it? What I mean is, if you write a function, you'll use that, like you'll give the arguments and you'll use the same argument inside the function. When you call the function, you finally give the values, right? So now the value of this attribute, this thing, it's here. So the value of it is argument name. It's here. So where or when will you give the value of this name?
When we create, like when we use another variable for you doing that, like my dog dot name.
I mean, it's
So
so
when
simple.
we
You guys know it. I know that you know it. I mean, I don't think complex stuff and all. I mean, when will you
when we
give
call
the
the
value of
class,
it?
when we call the class,
When you call the function, right? Like this is a function. I mean, this is a okay. I understood. Ashish, you were right. For now, it's class, but you can still say it's a function. Okay. So when you call this function, then only you give the value of this attribute. Sorry, argument, right? So where are you calling this function here?
in when we are using the variable my dog.
No. Just just a minute. Don't get confused. I'll tell you. Class is class. Variable is attribute. Then objects, it's instances. Then functions means methods. Okay. Functions, you can call it as methods. So what I'm asking you is, you told me when you'll give this is when you call this function. Okay. I'm asking you, where are you calling this function here in this code? Where are you calling this function? And one more thing, before you guys answer, I'll tell you, I told you, if you want to clearly, like easily understand what classes, this is a class, what objects, this is an object actually. You're passing this value here, that's it. Okay. So what classes and what objects are, if you want to like understand it, I told you. You already know functions and everything about it, no? So class means you'll define the function there, like this. You'll define it. And objects means you will call the function in the object. So if this is a class and this is an object, you're defining these three functions here. And this is an object, you will call these three functions in that object. Remember this. So now I'll go from the beginning for to maintain the flow. So now my dog is a variable which contains the value of, this thing. It's an object, right? So now my dog is here and this contains my dog dot name. So what is my dog dot name? Everything is here. What is my dog dot name?
Self dot name.
uh,
Yeah, self dot name. So what is self dot name? It's
an
just
attribute.
it's an attribute. Very good. So what is the value of this attribute?
Name.
Yeah, name. Name value of this attribute is argument name. So argument name is here, you see, when you're defining the function. So now the thing is to find what is the value of this argument. So to find what is the value, we need to know where is the value. So I'm asking you where, or sorry, when will you give the value to the arguments? Generally, when you write a function, when will you give the actual values to the arguments? Ashish told me that when he calls the function, he'll give. Until then, when he defines or inside the function, everywhere he uses the same variable. Same variable means the argument. So when he calls the function, he'll give the actual value to it. So now we got to know where that is. I mean, when we give the value of the argument, so tell me where you're giving the value of this attribute. When
Uh,
you, I mean, what I mean is where you're giving the value of this name means where you're calling this function, this thing, where are you calling it?
the function runs automatically, as you said.
Mm, yeah, it runs automatically. I mean, uh, yeah, that's true. I mean, this stuff, this whole thing, you don't need to call it anywhere. But when it comes to like explaining to you guys about this argument, like this one, sorry. Mm, mm, about this argument and also this argument, if you have to know how it works, the whole cycle, then you need to tell me where you're calling. I mean, just tell me about this thing, only this stuff. Oh, just a minute. mm, mm, like only this much, just this much. Where I do you think you're calling this anywhere, like you're giving the values of this stuff, like self, name, age? Like I already told you, you won't be using self anywhere because it's not a normal argument. It's the object itself. Like my dog is, if this is the object now, that is self. If you create another object, that is self. I mean, somewhere you're like giving the value of name and age. Where is it?
In the
We are
object,
In the object. What's the value of name argument then?
Willy.
Yeah. Then what's the age?
6.
Yes, very good. Finally, you guys saw this. Yeah. So that's it. So it's class means you just define the function. Object means you call the function. So call the function means you use the name. So, class name. And you give the values of this and this here. Okay. So Willy is the name of, don't think that Willy is the name of this dog, okay? It's not this dog. It's this dog, my dog, okay? So Willy is the name of my dog, and age is like 6 is the age of my dog, not this main dog. This will just contain like just the common functions, which is like same, which is like same for the all for all the dogs. But all dogs, all pet dogs will have name. All the dogs will have age. But Willy is a particular dog, like particular pet dog. So that's its name is Willy. And then its age is 6. So you use the same three functions also, like same set of instructions to create one more dog. Okay? Did you guys understand?
Yes, sister.
Do you have any doubts? Please ask me now. Was it confusing very much?
No.
Yeah?
No.
I cannot hear both of you actually.
No.
Oh, am I audible to you?
Yeah, you are.
Okay, so did you guys understand what I explained?
Yeah.
Okay. Ashir, what about you?
I understood. Sorry, I was on mute.
Okay. So now here inside your function, you are writing my dog's name is my dog dot name. So my dog dot name is nothing but self dot name. So everything, all the stuff we understood. So finally we understood the value of my dog dot name will be Willy and my dog dot age will be 6. If you run this code, you will get my dog's name is Willy and my dog is 6 years old. Did you guys write this code while I was explaining?
Yes, sister.
Yeah,
So it's done now.
yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next stuff. Hmm. So it's a very small thing. Whenever you want to call, oh, just a minute. Ashish, when is your class? When are you going to conduct the class? Can you tell me the time again? Ashish, you're on mute.
When this class ends,
So whenever I end it, you can conduct that time.
yeah.
Okay. So here, calling methods. So it's a very small thing. Calling methods means, do you guys remember what is methods? I told you. There are like standard terms for each of the stuff. So
Function.
yeah, okay. You guys remember. So calling the function. So wherever you want, you can like call the function. But the thing is, you have to like write it so like write it properly. So you use instance name means any instance name. So what was our instance name? I mean object name. What was the object name? Do you guys remember what was the object name? What is the
My
object?
dog.
Oh, where is it? Yeah, my dog. Good. So here you use the instance dot method. Dot method means the function to tell the object to perform an action defined in the class. I'll tell you again. So where is it? You use the instance name dot the method. Method means not this one now, these two. Like sit or roll over. The method to perform, like to tell the object, to tell this object to perform an action defined in its class. So you write class dot function to tell this object to perform what is told in the class. Did you understand? So now we just used this name and age. We didn't do this. Any action, we didn't still do it. So how you can do that is my dog is the class name. Dot sit is the function you see here. Sit is the function. Rollover is a function. So you can just write it like dot sit and dot rollover, and you'll get the output like this. Because you see what you have to print when this function is called, you're calling the function there, right? So when that function is called, what will be printed? Self dot name is now sitting. So in self dot name in this object, not in this class, in this object is Willy. So Willy is now sitting. Willy rolled over. Did you guys understand?
Yes, sister.
Did you guys try this two lines in your like,
Yeah.
okay, done? Did you get the output like this? Did you both get the output?
Didn't check the output.
Hmm. Okay. But did you write it? Or are you writing it?
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. So now I wanted to give you something to do, like an activity which you can do now. Like you have to create one more instance. So just like this one, what is the instance that we created? My dog. So now let's look at Lekana's dog and Ashish's dog. Create one more instance and do the same thing. Like tell your dog's name, tell your dog's age, and also tell your dog to sit and also to roll over. Do this, you will have 10 minutes time. Create multiple instances. Like you've already created one, which is my dog. Now create another dog. Give another name, another age, and ask the dog to do the same thing, which is to do the actions which is defined in the class. Did you guys understand what you need to do?
Yeah.
Sister, I finished it.
Yeah, can you share the screenshot?
Yeah.
Ashish, did you finish it as well?
Yeah. I finished it, but I am confused with the name of
Can,
dog.
can you share your screen? I'll stop sharing. So what's the problem? Lekana, did you get the output as well, Lekana?
I'm gonna check it now.
Oh, you need to share with the output.
Sister, I got the output.
Oh, did you get the correct output?
Yeah.
What's your pet's name?
My pet's name is Lucy.
Huh?
Lucy.
Ah, Lucy. Okay, okay. Ashish, can you share your screen?
Yeah, wait a second. I think it's completed.
Hmm. Ah, yeah, I checked with Lekana. Good.
Thank you, sister.
Ashish, are you getting it too? Like, did you correct it? Then we'll move on.
Yeah, I corrected it.
So, no problem now. Can we continue?
Yeah, you can go.
Hmm. So, next is another class. So, a bit more updated stuff here. Hmm. It's already there. Ah, yeah. So you're creating another class here. So this is like a class called car. It's not about dog now, it's about class. So our class will store information about the kind of car we are working with, and it will have a method, function that summarizes this information. So what this class does is like it will store the information about the class, like about the kind of car we are working with, and then the function, it will summarize all the information. That's it. So here you see class is car. You can write this, and then this docstring, a simple attempt to represent a car, and the function initialize self is as usual. Then the arguments which we are using is make, model, and year. So initialize the attributes to describe a car. So self.make, self.model, self.year is equal to make, model, year. This part is exactly like similar to the previous one. So now another function which we will be creating is get descriptive name. Okay. So, self. And one more thing, the mistake which we all do is, common stuff is, when you write everything, we forgot to add self here. Like you write a function and you forget to add self as an argument to the other functions. Like here you have self, right? You forget to write self here as the argument. That's the common mistake. I mean, I've done it too. So now get descriptive name. So return a, so it's not eatly, sorry, it's neatly. So it written a neatly formatted descriptive name. So descriptive name means not the name of the car. Descriptive, like the description of the car, like all the information. So now we are creating a variable. Okay. Long name is equal to self.year, self.make, self.model. So to avoid like writing many lines here, we have just assigned it to a single variable called long name. And we'll return it like return long name dot title. Yeah. So you don't need to create many stuff here. You can just assign it to a single variable called long name. So now you're creating a an object, an instance called my new car is equal to. So what you have to do, object means just call the function which you have defined before. So car here I'll write it. So, this thing, it's car, then what's make or model and year. Make sure you write it like the same. Don't write 2024 Audi and A4 like that. Just maintain this format itself because that's how you call a function, right? If you have given the arguments, let it be order-wise, okay? So make its Audi and then model is A4 and year is 2024. Okay? The value of these three things now. And print. So in this object, like in instance, I'm printing what? My new car. I already told you about the dot notation, right? If you have to call some function, like call this function in your object, then you have to use a dot. Remember that. So print my new car. My new car is an instance dot get descriptive name. What is descriptive name? Descriptive name is a method, function. What does it contain? It contains the descriptive name of the car. What is it? Year, make, model. Even though you write it like this, like Audi, make is Audi, model is A4, year is 2024. Here you see, while writing, like the value of this variable is like year, make, and then model. So the output you get also will be like this. First it will be year, then make, then model. So this two things, like this one and this one, should be equal. But here it changes because that's how you chose to print it. Okay. My gosh. That's how you chose to print it here. That's why. So my new car dot get descriptive name. Then you'll get 2024. Then Audi. Then A4. Can you guys try this one?
Yeah,
Did you guys try?
we are. I'm actually trying.
Hmm. You can even change this stuff. Like you can write model first, year next, and make at last. You change it and you'll get the output according to this one, okay? According to what you wrote here. Like in the function, what you wrote, that's what you get. Not how you wrote it in the initial function. I mean, if you don't do any stuff like anything, any changes, then you will get how this is, or you'll just get how you organize it. For example, if you write long, like first name or year or y, or okay, a is equal to self dot year, b is equal to self dot make, then c is equal to self dot model. Then here you'll call that thing means one in each line different thing will be printed. So how you choose to write it inside the function is how you get the output, okay? Is it done?
It's done, sister.
Did you get the output?
Yes, sister.
Hmm. What about Ashish?
No, I didn't get it done enough.
Hmm. You can complete it.
Yeah, you can go on.
Hmm. So now you can take a screenshot if you guys want. Or it's okay, I'll share the recording. So now 10th one. This is about default attributes. Attributes means variables. Default is like the variables which you assign beforehand. You won't give its value when you call the function. It will be there from the beginning itself. So I'll tell you here in this in no this is the same class, okay? So here get descriptive name in this like self in this function you're like calling you're using self dot year make model, and then here you're giving its value like Audi A4 2024 like that. So now you can change it to anything. For example, Audi A4 2024, it's only limited to this car, my new car. If I create Lekana's car, then Audi A4 2024 is not the thing which I write. I'll write something else. So the value of make, model, year keeps changing in each object I create. Okay? So that is why if you want to create a attribute which remains same in all the objects, so what you can do is you can define it in the function, but don't pass it as an argument in the function. So here you're passing these three values like make, model, year. You're passing it as an argument also, and you're defining it also in the function. That's why it keeps changing. I mean, you can use it for that purposes where it keeps changing. But, self dot odometer reading. Self dot odometer reading is just an attribute, just like self dot make, self dot model, self dot year. But I'm defining it just like these three, but I'm not passing it as an argument here because I want odometer reading to be zero in all the cars. In my car, in Lekana's car, in Ashish's car, in all the cars. That is why I won't pass it as an argument, but just define it because it should be the default value. And remember why we won't pass it as an argument, why we just keep it as just an attribute, we just define it because if you keep it as an argument, it keeps changing, right? In each different argument, it keeps change. In each different object, it keeps changing. That's why we won't like pass it as an argument. It will just be an attribute. Like we just define that attribute. Okay. So now everything is the same till here. Again, you're creating one more function. That's called read odometer. Okay. So in this, what we are doing is it's written here as a docstring. Print a statement showing the car's mileage. Do you guys know what is mileage? Mileage is just how much the vehicle has like traveled so far. That's it. Okay. So here, print a statement showing the car's like mileage, how much it has like traveled. So just think my new car. New car will always, it won't actually go anywhere. It will be in the showroom. So mileage will be zero. Okay. I mean, it will not be zero actually, but for now, for this code, this is fine. So mileage will be zero. So now that zero should be the same to all the new cars. Like my new car, it's zero, and Lekana's new car will be zero, and Ash's new car also will be zero. Okay, so now in this my new car, like you're like just giving Audi A4 2024, that's make, model, year, but the odometer reading for my new car will be zero. Okay, and make, model, year for Ashish new car can be different. Like it can be like any other cars. I don't get anything in my any other car. Uh, which car? Oh, Ashish, which car do you like?
Mhm. Uh, which car do I like?
Any other
Uh,
car names?
F1.
F1, is it a car?
Yeah, it's a
Oh,
racing car.
F1, right?
Yeah.
Hmm. So for Ashish new car, it will be F1 and B4 and 2023 maybe. So that changes the make, model, year, but the mileage of that car remains zero itself. Okay. So here in this function, we'll print this car has dash miles on it. So dash miles is self dot odometer reading. What is self dot odometer reading? It is zero. You are not using this self dot odometer anywhere. Okay. because you're not giving it any extra value or updating it anywhere. It is 0, it will be 0 always. What you will be using is the name of this function, read odometer. So it will just read what is already there. What is already there is odometer reading. What will be read is read odometer. Okay. So now when we print in the object print my new car is the object name dot get descriptive name. What's get descriptive name? The year, the make and the model. Then one more thing that's happening is my new car, that's the object name dot read odometer. What is read odometer? This sentence, what this sentence says is the mileage of the car. What's the mileage of the car? It's odometer reading. What's the odometer reading? It's 0. Did you get it?
Yeah.
Hmm. So this thing is fine. So that's it. So if you want to have default values, you just no need to pass it as an argument. Just define it. And
Sister,
yeah.
yeah. So we have written a new code like self odometer, uh, like self dot odometer reading,
Hmm.
but we didn't give the value, like we didn't say it in the self comma make comma model, like in the initializing point.
Hmm. Here,
No, above
here.
in the, yeah, we didn't write it
Yeah,
there,
yeah, yeah.
right?
That's what I told you. So I won't pass it as an argument. Odometer
Okay.
reading is not it's not an argument. It's just a variable. I want it to be just a variable because make model here these three are arguments and that I can change in every car. Like in my car if it is Audi, in your car it will be F1. Right? Make changes, model changes, year changes because they are arguments. Odometer reading is not an argument, it's a default variable. I didn't pass it as an argument because I wanted to remain 0 in all the cars. Did you get it?
Yeah.
That's why it's default attribute. Okay. So now you can actually modify the attribute. You know, the attribute which I told you, odometer reading, you can modify it in two ways. One is directly you can access it. And one more thing is like through a method, through a function also you can do it. So directly it's very very simple. So modifying an argument, it means you just think you're updating the argument. For example, everything it's same. Okay. Odometer reading was 0 now before you buy the car. But after you bought the car, you just think the mileage is like 23. Okay. So now what you do is like very simple. You use the dot notation. Dot notation means my new car is equal to like car this thing, you're using it before like object. You're creating an object. Then print my new car get descriptive name, that's also fine. So here before calling the function like my new car dot read odometer, before you read the odometer, update the odometer reading itself. My new car dot odometer reading, this one is equal to 23. So then you call call this function. So odometer reading was 0, so now it became 23. So here also it will be 20. I'll just write it. So now odometer reading was 0, but now here it became 23. So here also it becomes 23. Here it became means in this function also it becomes 23. So this function is read odometer. So here also it will be 23. Okay. So you're directly updating it. You're not adding or anything. For example, if it was 0, you're replacing 0 with 23. It's not like 0 plus 23 is equal to 0. You're not adding it. You're just replacing it. You remove 0, you put 23 in that place. That's how it works. This is a direct method. You just use the dot notation stuff. Did you understand? It's very easy.
Yeah.
So this is a direct method. This is one method, and this is a modifying attributes, but through a method. Using a function, you modify the attributes. So when you modify it, actually you can directly do it using like dot notation, but you will use a function when you simply don't want to like replace it directly, when you want to like add it, or even if you want to use a function, it's fine, you can use it. So here, everything till read odometer. Yeah, till read odometer, it's the same. It's same. So now I have created one more function called update odometer. Before, what I was doing, I was just updating the variable, and I was calling the same function like read odometer. But here I am creating another method, like another function called update odometer. What this does is, so here self comma mileage also I'm adding. This mileage is an argument. So here what this function does, the what's the function of this method is self dot odometer reading. What is self dot odometer reading now?
Mileage.
No, just a minute. Here self dot odometer reading. What is the value of this self dot odometer reading now? Like this one.
Okay.
Oh, wait. It is, where is, it is 0, right? Okay, so now this self dot odometer reading is 0. Now, what this function update odometer is doing means self dot odometer reading should be equal to the mileage. So remember, you will give the value of the argument when you call that function, not now. So mileage is not simply a variable here. It's an argument. So you give the value of an argument when you call the function. So now update.odometer reading, it contains the value of mileage, okay? What is mileage? It's an argument in this update odometer reading. So again you do the same step, but before calling this function, like odometer reading, before you read the odometer, you will update the odometer. Uh, mm. So before you read it, you update it. Okay. So you will read the odometer, that's as usual before even you saw, but you're updating it. Means you're calling the function method called update odometer. So what is update odometer? Update odometer is not doing any extra stuff, but it's just giving the value of mileage to self odometer reading. Okay, so now when you call this update.odometer, like you're calling it here. Here you will give the value of the argument mileage. So mileage is equal to 23 and mileage is equal to odometer reading. So odometer reading, here it's, so before it was 0, now it became 23. Okay, so 23 is the odometer reading now. So now you call this function. You call this function, and that function contains the value of the odometer which was updated. Okay, here. So now this 23 will go to this function. Will go to this function in the sense from mileage it goes to odometer reading. Odometer reading is here and also it is here. So odometer reading will be is equal will is equal to mileage. So mileage is written here and then you call this function. This function is read odometer. That is being called here. Okay. So it is same, not like nothing will be changed in the output, but just instead of directly updating it, you are creating another function to update the value for you. Okay, here you won't see much difference, but in some in instances, like you like in some situation, you will know why you use function instead of directly modifying. Okay, so let's move on to the last stuff. Ashish, did you understand the previous stuff, modifying directly and through a method? Did you understand it?
Yeah.
Mm. So this is incrementing the attributes. Before, you were updating it. Updating means if it was 0, it becomes 23. You didn't add 23 to 0. You replaced 0 with 23. Here, you are adding it to the previous value because odometer. Do you know what is odometer? Odo,
Mileage.
huh?
Mileage.
Oh, yeah, like mileage is like how much the vehicle has traveled. So odometer means it's the reading, like it shows how much miles or kilometers the vehicle has traveled. Okay, that's odometer. It shows the reading. Here, no, it is here. This is odometer. This one.
Yeah.
So miles per hour, no, like that. So here you are doing the same thing everywhere. The only stuff, the only change here is you will increment it. You will increment the odometer reading. So let this, I'll tell you, everything is same. Don't get confused because it's a very big code. The only change is, after this read odometer, update odometer, I've added this increment odometer. So what happens is it takes the self odometer reading. Self odometer reading is the updated odometer reading, okay? Mileage is like changed now. It was 0. Now it was like 23 or something, right? So now 23 was the value of odometer reading. Just imagine an odometer reading. So when you have to increment it, odometer reading is equal to odometer reading plus the miles. So, we shouldn't actually turn it back. Like, if your car has traveled for some miles, then you shouldn't decrease it, right? Like, that's an offense. You shouldn't do it, right? So, just to make sure that nobody does that stuff, you're writing this. You're like incrementing it instead of completely replacing 23. So self dot like comma miles, what happens is in this function self dot odometer is equal to self dot odometer plus miles. So if self dot odometer is 23, 20, now the new value of odometer reading will be 23 plus the new miles. Okay, so here also everything is same. This stuff is like same. So this is a new car, like my used car. Okay, this is a used car now. So car name is like Subaru, and then, oh, not Subaru, what first it's mm, make, it's Subaru, then model, it's, where is it, it's Outback, and year is 2019. And you're calling the function get descriptive name. You know this already. So one more thing is my used car dot update odometer. First you are updating the odometer. Just think it was 0 when you first bought this car, and then you're updating that value to 23,500. This means just comma, okay? 23,500 because you've used it already so far. And then you will read the odometer, so it will be 23,500. Now, before reading the odometer again, you will write increment odometer. You will increment it. Just think before you sell that car, like you have decided to sell it now, but you need to go to the place where you are registering it, right? So, just think you are like traveling for 100 more miles. So, what you do is my used car dot increment odometer. If you look at this, it looks so simple, but all the function you're calling here, it is defined in the class. Okay, in this class it's already defined. So self my used car dot increment odometer means what is happening in this function. It's incrementing odometer reading plus odometer reading is equal to odometer reading plus the miles. So here when you're calling the function, you are giving its just a minute. When you're calling the function, you will give its argument value, no? So what is the argument in increment odometer function? What is the argument name?
Miles.
Sorry.
Miles.
Yeah. So the value of miles will be 100. And what happens to the odometer reading then? Odometer reading before was updated here. So 23,500 is equal to 23,500 plus 100. So 23,600 will be the odometer, new odometer reading. So when you first read it, it will be just 23,500 because you updated. From 0 it came to 23,500. Again, before reading, you incremented it to 100. Then you read again. So 23,500 is equal to, means the odometer reading is equal to odometer reading plus miles. Odometer reading plus miles means 23,500 plus 100. So 23,600 will be the new odometer reading. So you need to know the difference between updating, like actually replacing, and incrementing. Incrementing means 23,500, you did not remove that and replaced it with 23,600. You didn't do it. You added 100 to 23,500 and then you got 23,600. Okay? So, but here, when it was first 0, you removed this 0. Then you wrote 23,600. But here, you wrote this as well and added this. Okay, then you got 23,600. Was it confusing? Did you understand it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as I didn't give you time to like do it with me, can you take the screenshot? Which slide should I open for you to take the screenshot?
Actually, mine's completed.
Or did you already complete this code as well?
Yeah, I'm actually completing it right now.
Okay, then I'll share the recording. You can go through it again if you have any doubts. And assignment, I'll share it with you. Yeah. So, do you have any doubts?
No.
Okay. So sorry I took a lot of time. So if it's fine, you can have the class tomorrow. Or if it's fine, you can have it now. Yeah. Thank you, Ashish, for staying. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll share the recording soon.
Okay.
If you have any doubts, then text me.
Yeah.